Stream live.
Yeah.
Hello. This is Finn and Lilu casting Team UNF versus Team WMU in a three-match fearless scrim.
Yeah, and sorry for the late stream, y'all. We had an original match planned for 8, but that one kind of fell through. We had to find something last second for you guys, so we're here a little late. We're already a bit into ban phase. WMU BM'd and didn't ban the first round, but they're banning out Soraka now, and UNF is banning Caitlyn and considering their next ban now.
Additionally, Team UNF has a brand new ADC player. Amber Dragon has stepped back into the support role, and Bradley Oikawa has stepped out of the spotlight. And the new ADC is Tong Ai Nilo and will be referred to as Tong for the duration of this stream.
Yeah, I actually haven't seen anything about how he plays, who he plays, or anything like that. So a lot of his gameplay is going to be new to me as well. I don't know much about him at all. I've not even heard of him until hearing he was on the team. What about you,
Um,
Finn?
well, I also hadn't heard about him until he joined the team, but he is a plat Lee Sin player, mostly Lee Sin, but really he tries out quite a bit of characters. I think for ADC, we're going to see him on probably Kaisa, Aphelios, Jin, maybe Ezreal, maybe Ashe. He's got a bit of time on Yasuo, but I don't know if that's Yasuo ADC or not.
I'm not sure it will be. We're actually seeing that
Uh,
Yasuo ban from UNF, so even if it was, he wouldn't be playing it. And another
yeah.
Orianna ban. Orianna's been getting banned a lot recently. I think they've been doing their research and seeing that whenever Jack Frost goes Orianna, the game kind of goes downhill from there for UNF's enemies.
And first pick for Team WMU, we see a Viego come out. And in response from UNF, we have an Amumu pick. Uh, both junglers just getting their characters out first, and a Veigar pick. I think we will be seeing that Veigar go mid. I know UNF was talking about sort of a desire to set up a wombo combo, and if the Orianna gets banned, to try out the Veigar in the mid lane. I know last time it was played, Jack Frost said he felt very comfortable on it. Felt like it was a character you could really just sit back and scale with. And we see a Hui in response to the Veigar, expecting that to go mid. And a Hui into Veigar is a very, I'd say it's fairly even, a little bit of a Veigar favored matchup. Uh, both characters kind of just want to sit back and farm waves, and Veigar just scales a little bit better as it's kind of the thing he is best at. So it's interesting to see the Hui as a response. And we do
Yeah,
see Kaisa come out for WMU. Sorry, go ahead.
no, I was going to comment more on the Hui Veigar matchup. I was going to say that because of that, you would want Hui to be a lot more aggressive into Veigar and hopefully get a pick there, which just really isn't how Hui likes to play the early game. So it could be a stressful matchup for the enemy team, which is exactly what UNF wants to do here. They want to be stressing out the enemy team, causing that pressure. And
And in
then
response
UNF
to
picks
Kaisa, we
the
see.
Lux.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, yeah, my bad. The Lux switch should be going support on Amber Dragon, which Amber Dragon is great at enchanters like Lux. That is going to be a hell in the bot lane for the enemy team.
We see Ornn and Gragas banned from UNF and WMU respectively. Obviously, a bit more ban pressure towards the top side for these latter picks. WMU is less concerned with UNF's ADC, and a Vlad ban coming out from Team UNF. Pifit, Pifit, hashtag Kevin. um, he is a Gragas player primarily, but he doesn't have a whole ton of time in the top lane. He does have experience on Vladimir, but hasn't played him very much recently. So it's just a sort of concern about what he's comfortable with rather than what he's into for now. Varus comes up for Team UNF. Varus selects bot lane, very, very pokey. Um,
Yeah, it could be that Vlad band is more concerned about team comp than anything. Like, out of everything their top laner is comfortable with, someone like Vlad could be the most oppressive to what UNF's trying
we're
to do with their
going
team comp.
to have a very straightforward plan this first game.
And here, Team WMU locks in the Volibear top lane with the Nami support, providing a lot of damage and peel. And I think they're going for mostly a dive comp here with the Kai'Sa, the Volibear, the Viego, and having the peel with the Nami, and just a strong, solid backline damage with Hui, who he can also peel a decent amount with his W and his E. And in response, UNF locks in the Alawi top.
That will be very interesting. I feel like Alawi is something that doesn't necessarily make sense with the rest of the comp, so she'll be a lot more alone, a lot more on an island, I think. And I think it's also a sign that UNF is not looking to contest the grubs or the top side of the map as much this game, which does often tend to be the case.
Yeah, and it makes sense if they have to concede to someone so oppressive like Volibear. In the early game, you just can't really fight that much, especially with a weaker jungle like a Mumu that he can't really stand on his own. And also with that
Especially not as
Veigar.
easily as a Viego.
Yeah, especially not
Yeah.
as easy as a Viego. And the Veigar as well, that he won't be able to rotate and really help with objectives for a while since he needs to scale and be patient. If I was Team WMU, I would look to have the strongest early possible and try to snowball any picks I could get or anything like that, given how weak early UNF's team is.
Hmm. I completely agree with that. I think this game could really see like Viego, obviously a more hyper carry jungler. I could definitely imagine him running away with the game or the Volibear running away with the game. I think Team UNF really has to try pretty hard to stay in this one just off of the draft. But if they manage to hold out, I think they're going to have a far more comfortable late game than at WMU.
Oh yeah, if they can get into that late game, it should be over for WMU. But to be entirely honest, UNF honestly has trouble making it into the late game, usually finding their weakest moments in that mid game there. So if WMU
Hmm.
can find the space to snowball, the game could be over before they reach late game and have the chance to really make something of the team comp they have here.
Hmm.
So let's cross our fingers.
Now, while we wait out the spectator delay, um, how do you feel about the most recent patch?
I didn't see much of the notes. I saw what they did to Mbessa, that they're upping her passive damage, right? Is that what they're doing with her?
Uh, what they're doing with Ambessa is they are intending to make her passive able to crit. So I'm curious if that'll lead to Ambessa crit builds. I highly doubt it, but I'm sure we'll see it here or there.
I think someone will
Obviously your
make a
passive
video
does do
about
quite a
it.
lot of damage, but I could there will definitely be videos about it, but whether or not it actually gets played remains to be seen.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be meta or anything, but I think it'll make for fantastic content. Winning with my Mbessa crit build? Question mark? New meta? Question mark? Absolutely not. I also saw they were doing a bunch of Yunara reworks. They reworked her like crazy. Did they not?
I I apologize. There's no doubt. I'm looking for the most recent, like the next patch notes. I was actually asking about 25.20 notes.
Oh,
Have
you're
they
talking about
actually
the
released
current.
the current patch? Have they released like the notes for the next patch completely, or is it just the Ambessa thing that came out?
I saw something about Yunara, so I think it's just a handful of leaks.
Hmm.
But I don't think an official like set of patch notes have dropped yet.
How do you feel about the most recent patch, the Worlds patch?
I honestly could not tell you what's on that patch. I have not been tapped into patch notes recently, and that is my bad. I'm a fake league player. I'm
Well,
normally
we
really good at
saw
reading patch notes, actually.
we saw some nerfs to Briar, Ori, Volley, Warwick, some buffs to
Oh, that patch? Yeah, I did
Anivia,
see that patch.
Katarina,
Yeah, they were fixing up
Malphite,
the a
Pantheon.
bunch of jungle champs. I remember. I
Hmm.
thought that was the. I don't know why I thought that was not a patch that was out yet. Yeah, I
The game
think I
is. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
no, yeah, I was gonna say I think the reworks are because they're expressing interest in fixing up the jungle, but I think they're focusing on the wrong things. Like that is not what's wrong with jungle right now, and they're still ignoring the really strong tank meta. And honestly, I think the support meta is like we're watching it get worse, and they're neglecting the support meta as well. Not a big fan of that.
Now, as the game gets started here, do you? So every game I go into, I feel like I have a lane that I'm most interested in watching, or at least like a character that I'm most interested in seeing how the game plays out for them. Do you have that same like feeling? I know like bot lane can be more exciting in the early game just because there's two players for each team in that lane. It makes it a lot more hectic, and usually the junglers sort of clear towards it, meaning something climactic can kind of happen. But is there something you're excited to watch in this game, I guess, or do you feel that excitement
I mean, I am
about
I
any
am
of
a
the
little bit
characters?
biased towards the bot lane since the ADC is new. I really want to see what he's up to and what's going on down there. But every time I have predictions about the way that the game's gonna turn out, I feel like I always get my expectations subverted by Jack Frost and what he's up to in the mid lane. It either goes much better or much worse than I predict almost every time. So I tend to find myself the most surprised and intrigued by, at least later in the game, mid lane's performance because of that.
I totally get what you mean. I feel like a lot of the time, Jack Frost really has an amazing impact on the game. And I think I don't spend as much time looking at mid lane as I do top and bot, but he always seems to sort of somehow squeeze out a lead. And usually if he's ahead, that's a sign that his team has the capacity to win.
Oh yeah, they definitely always try to funnel kills to Jack Frost or whoever their ADC is. And for good reason. The games always turn out the best when someone like Jack Frost is fed out of his mind and can snowball. Which is exactly what I was saying earlier in the draft, that I feel like they need to avoid here WMU snowballing early. Which means they either have to neglect the snowball or snowball themselves.
Now, at this point in the game, both junglers are clearing top to bot, so we will see some attempted action in the bot lane. Bot lane for Team UNF is pushing towards the WMU's turret. We will see it bounce back, probably in time for Mike Beeston to come down, but just put them in a little bit of a superior position.
Yeah, we're getting a lot of
Top
poking
lane.
happening in mid lane. Hoi really trying to beat down that Veigar and send him home.
I think the Veigar has a slightly faster clear that might be some.
Or the Viego.
So I'm sorry, the Viego has a slightly faster clear. But Team UNF does have a ward in the enemy's tri-bush, so they should not be getting caught with their pants down anytime soon.
Yeah, one
Especially
thing.
if
Oh, sorry
Wolfblood
about that.
opts to go for the Krugs. No, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna comment on the vision that one thing that Caitlyn does incredibly well as part of her expertise and support is how oppressive her vision control is and how good she is with roaming and roam timers that we really weren't able to see when she was ADC, since she's not the roaming support. And it's kind of great that UNF has that again, because they tend to struggle a lot with support, and Caitlyn being there to kind of bridge that gap a little bit is going to be fantastic for them.
Now, Viego did get spotted on his wards, and Mike Beeston is able to snag the bot side scuttle. Both of the bot laners for Team UNF wander up to try to kill the Viego, but Wolfblood manages to flash out and just barely escape with his life. No summoner spells invested on the side of Team UNF. So overall, I'd say that was a positive trade for them. And now
Absolutely.
Mike Beeston is going for the top scuttle as well.
And look at all that vision in the bot jungle, and that they had to send Diego home.
Now we see Michael going for another full clear into probably his first recall. Generally, I think it's better to recall before your next clear, but he just cleared slow enough that his camps are back up and he doesn't feel comfortable taking the recall while camps are up.
Yeah, he might have to be looking for Drake here before his recall after his second clear, which isn't going to be the best since Viego did get to visit base and come back with items, and he's still just going to have his seedlings.
In the bot lane, Ton did get his recall canceled, so he is staying a little bit longer than he would like. The wave is pushing into the red side turrets, but we see the Varus just slowly poking down the wave as best he can. And because he's recalled so late, he will be a little bit late to the dragon fight. Team UNF does have vision set up quite nicely around the pit. It's starting to fade away now. The last word. I actually can't select it. Okay. Last word only has about 10 seconds left, but Amber Dragon is lurking around mid, and Team WMU does not have vision of her, but I think that the Hui suspects that something could be up. Nami goes into the bush in mid lane, manages to get rooted by Amber Dragon, stunned by Jack Frost, and then once again by Mike Beeston. They do give first blood to Jack Frost. Really just a great cleanup. Amber Dragon hits root into E on the Hui, just poking it down, making mid lane just a little bit easier for Jack Frost. And we do see Mike Beeston full clear into recall.
Yeah, and that's
And
a
now
huge
Drake is
first
up.
blood with Jack Frost just trying to play behind and scale, allowing himself to get that first blood and getting just a little bit more ahead might give him the pressure he needs to be able to rotate for objectives, which would be amazing pace for Team UNF to have.
Now we are seeing the very beginnings of the first Drake fight. Team WMU seems a little bit more prepared for it than Team UNF, but Team UNF collapses faster. Mike Beeston misses his Q on the Amumu and flashes out, does not get chunked for too much health. Amber Dragon is getting very low. Sparty Party on the Kai'Sa flashes forward in an attempt to kill her, does not manage to, and dies herself. And at this point, I think WMU might have to give up the dragon unless Noah can squeeze a kill out on Jack Frost, which he does not manage to. Now, the members of Team UNF are kind of low on health, but the members of Team WMU are low on mana. And being primarily spellcasters, they can't contest the dragon as much as they would like to. However, UNF decides that it is not worth the risk to go for this Drake, and all members just take the reset.
And honestly, not too bad of a fight. I think the way that went, that was definitely in UNF's favor. With that reset, they can come back and recollect themselves, and with how the vision went and their slight gold advantage they have with those kills with their mid laner and ADC, I think they'll be able to get this next objective pretty easily.
And Pitfic, the top laner for Team WMU, decided to start the grubs on his own without a jungler. And he was caught on vision doing so. So Team UNF takes the opportunity to collect grubs for themselves, which is not at all what I had predicted at the start of this game. I thought that Team UNF would be playing around the Drake a lot more. I guess they're just less interested in a chem check Drake. Statistically, chem check is the least influential in lane, especially with the only shielding being from a Lux, which is generally not very much. Mike Beeston also takes the opportunity to invade Wolfblood's blue side jungle, and it manages to pick up the blue buff. It looks like Team UNF is setting up for a tower dive. Nick really needs to clear the wave if they actually want to go for this. And Volibear all-ins Nick, manages to very nearly get the kill, just one hit away, but Mike Beeston hits a magnificent bandage tossed and kills the Volibear. Meanwhile, Wolfblood takes out Team UNF's top laner, but I don't believe that he'll be able to kill the Amumu as well. So both junglers clear their opponent's top laners, or their opposing team's top laners.
And even with that trade, it was honestly worth it for UNF since they get to get feats there.
Yes, and the wave is pushing towards them, towards the red side turret. So just completely positive trade for Team UNF. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, a fight has just transpired. Volibear TP'd bot and is looking to get a double kill, manages to absolutely find the ADC for Team UNF, but I don't think he'll catch Amber Dragon out. So we're possibly going to be seeing a lane swap here from Team WMU. And I am really curious how Nick is going to respond to that. I think it's tough to deal with if you haven't dealt with it before, and there hasn't been an instance of this in any previous scrims, so I kind of doubt that he's dealt with this before. Team UNF is not responding to the lane swap. They're just accepting that it's happening.
I mean, if they feel comfortable
Meanwhile,
the way they are, then there isn't much of a reason to swap around back. And Alawi seems to be doing fine on her own. She can farm from a distance, and so can Varus. So they might be living in these lanes a bit untouched, just letting the free farming happen. Which with
I
how
do think
strong...
the Volibear...
sorry about that.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, please.
No, I was gonna say with how Team UNF's comp scales much harder than WMU's, it honestly works in their favor with that lane swap and just letting them free farm, since it's kind of exactly what they want to do.
And I was going to say, I feel like Team UNF's bot lane is strong enough that Volibear will really have a problem dealing with them in a way that the Alawi will not experience. I think that Team WMU just has to play better to get the Alawi in a tough situation than Team UNF does for Volibear. Now, the WMU has noticed that their lane swap is not working out in their favor and have decided to swap back. At this point, it is just Party 2v1ing in the bot lane. Not really a great place for any ADC, but it's what's happening. A little skirmish is being suggested in the mid lane. Nick TP's in, sort of puts an end to anything that might happen. Both members of Team WMU just walk away with their tails between their legs, and Nick takes a little bit of chip. Nothing really happens. Drake, the next Drake will be coming up soon. Team UNF has some fantastic vision around it in the area in the bottom river. And we see Amber Dragon, the support for Team UNF, considering a recall, possibly trying to bait the way in, taking a little bit of chip. Both junglers are posturing to fight for this Drake. So it will not be a trade situation like we saw with the first one. And it looks like it will be a Mountain Drake as well. Something that I think Team UNF wants a lot more than Team WMU. Between their Alawi and their Amumu, they've got chunkier characters on their side. So the Mountain Drake is just a little bit more impactful for them.
And honestly, the Veigar too, the way that he's building Roa and Archangel's staff, he's going for a little more like higher sustain rather than higher damage. And the Mountain Drake will help the Veigar too in that sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's honestly good too because a lot of the enemy team comp, Quay, Kaisa, Nami, and Vali, they all look to kind of like poke their enemies down before diving in. And if UNF can beat them out on sustain, then that plan for how their team comp unfolds kind of falls apart.
Currently, Team UNF has 4 members poised and set up for the Drake, and the Hui for Team WMU is just a little bit sectioned off from his team. I don't think that Team WMU will be able to properly contest this Drake. I think they're going in just a little bit too late. However, Team UNF does respect their engage and fights back a little bit, but I don't think we're going to see a fight come out of this. It was really just Team UNF took what was theirs. Despite how decisive that was, there's really not a significant gold lead for Team UNF. At this point in the game, maybe 2,000 is kind of a lot, but it really doesn't look like it. Or it really does look like it, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like the gold is just kind of evenly scattered about, so on an individual lane level, we're not seeing too much of a difference, but these little leads are going to add up really quickly, and it's going to be the type of snowballing and scaling that UNF needs.
And now the Rift Herald has spawned. The next objective we'll see contested in this game. Top southern map. And WMU is there slightly before Team UNF. They will get the Scuttle, which is massively helpful for this sort of fight. Gives vision and gives a little bit of bonus movement speed. We see the Harrowed Path come out from Viego, but he does not do anything with it. Team UNF has 4 members top. Team WMU only has 3 lurking around. Hui is looking more at the wave than the fight, and he is cut off from his team. Maybe it can be a sort of flank angle, but it looks more like he's going to get caught out. A fabulous engage by Mike Beasta manages to catch Wolfblood, the WMU jungler, and get him quite low. I don't think that realistically WMU can contest this Rift Herald while their jungler's that low. However, Mike Beastum does get caught out and cut down. Wait, no.
Yeah, trying to save the Lux
Nami
seems to
wave hits 3.
might be the end of him. Oh, but Hui misses the snipe, and Mike Beastum just barely makes it out. And with them having a back, it seems they're going to have to just give this Herald and let WMU have it.
On the other side of the map, Ton is just farming up on the Varus, manages to collect the first turret for his team, and takes a very comfortable recall. Him not being at the Rift Herald fight did lose his team the Herald, but I think that the amount of gold he got out of staying in his lane makes it almost worth it. Currently, we see him at almost a little bit more than 1,000 gold lead ahead of the Kaisa. And the ADC for Team UNF is looking really quite strong. At this point in the game, he has rotated mid, and it looks like the Kaisa will take down Amber Dragon, but oh my goodness. Just barely Ton misses the piercing arrow on the Kaisa, and she manages to just escape with a sliver of her life.
Yeah, and Michael trying to go in and finish that off, but it doesn't pan out exactly well with the bandage being quite hard to hit and amidst all the minions.
Both top laners, well, just a second ago before I said it, before when I started saying it, had perfectly even CS. I think top lane, it's very funny how perfectly even they are at this point in the game. Even after almost 20 minutes, it's just a brick wall versus a brick wall.
I feel like that's kind of how it is with specifically Volley and Alawi. They both just heal themselves so much and they can stay in lane forever and hit the minions from so far.
The Ocean Drake will be spawning in about a minute. Very soon will be the next objective up on the map, and then shortly followed after that will be the Otacon. Realistically, whichever team is able to take the dragon in the event of a team fight should also be able to take Otacon. So this next fight will be pretty important to win, especially if it's a decisive victory for either team. Amber Dragon manages to get some early poke down on the Nami of Team WMU. Being a Nami, she can sustain herself a little bit, but she will be entering the fight with a little bit less health than I think she would want.
And less mana too.
Yeah. Drake is now spawning in 10 seconds. Team UNF is taking a very aggressive stance on this fight. In the previous, on the previous Drakes, they sort of started the Drake on their own and let WMU push into them and just trusted that they'd be able to take the Drake before WMU was able to contest them. And now this fight, they seem to have learned that WMU will try to contest them and will be pushed back. Mike Beastum goes in 1v4, commits the Curse of the Sad Mummy, manages to deal a good amount of damage to the members of Team WMU, but of course, being 1v4, he does go down. I don't think that was a very fantastic play from Mike Beastum, and it might be just what WMU needed to get back into this game. Quay hits a fantastic ult on the ADC of Team UNF, and Kaisa additionally hits a fantastic, what's that called? Fantastic Void Seeker followed by the Killer Instinct to just wipe out 2 members of Team UNF. And I think this is where we will start to see the game shift a little bit more in favor of Team WMU. The Volibear is shoving mid lane while the rest of the team takes the Ocean Drake and looks to be starting the Otacon, as predicted.
Yeah, it was like I was saying that with how long it takes for a lot of the champs on UNF's team to scale, really all WMU needs is just a couple of good picks and they can really just snowball that lead and dominate before the late game. And it seems like they've finally found their picks here to snowball. And with all the objectives and turrets they're taking, they are now at a almost 3.5k gold lead, which is about as behind as they were about 5 or 10 minutes ago.
Now, once again, we will see the game enter a more neutral state. The next objective is almost 4 minutes away, so both teams will be just trying to farm up for that objective. We might see Amber Dragon particularly look for something sneaky. I know she's been very mobile this game, but I really don't expect anything to come from it. I think Team WMU will want to play something a little bit more comfortable, maybe a little bit more laid back. Just to maintain the lead they have. They don't need to try to be aggressive because they're already there. Now, a dive is being set up on Nick, Team UNF's top laner. There are 3 members of Team WMU sort of lurking around, and the top tier 1 is getting awfully low. The Illaoi does manage to hit a test of spirit, keeping her health total up just enough to not be concerned about the collapse, the imminent collapse. And she knows her teammates are here to help. Like Beastum hits the bandage toss into Curse of the Sad Mummy. Does not manage to turn it into a kill on Noodle, but does manage to, oh my gosh, very nearly catch out Sparty Party. The ADC of Team WMU once again just barely slips away with a sliver of health. I think this has happened 3 times this game. She really seems to be quite good at that. Volibear flashes past the event horizon of Jack Frost, gets a kill on I forget who it was actually. But at this point, it looks like the game is not going anywhere good for Team UNF. The members of Team WMU are just too effectively able to walk past and through them. And the next Drake is in 2 minutes, and it doesn't look like UNF is going to be able to catch up in time to fight for that Drake.
Yeah, it seems to me like WMU just did a really great job of cutting their losses essentially. So every time UNF got a pick here and there, something like that, WMU did a great job of kind of mitigating that loss and minimizing how much UNF was actually getting out of it. And it seems like UNF might not be as good at doing the same in return. So WMU is able to prevent a snowball that they are now in the middle of doing themselves. And with the picks like Nami and Hui, which can peel really hard for their teams.
Now, Nick does get caught out in the bot lane. Both Sparty Party and Pivot were waiting in the bottom bushes. Nick does go down. Wolfblood forced to use Flash on an extended trade on Mike Beastum under the tier 1 in bot lane. It looks like Team WMU is setting up for a tower dive here, and it looks like they're going to get it. Mike Beastum will be going down, and the ADC for Team UNF will be short to follow. In the meantime, Hui shoves mid as hard as he can, and the bot tier 2 will be going down for UNF here. The Ocean Drake is spawning in 20 seconds. We see a recall come out from Team WMU's top laner, but I don't think UNF is going to be contesting this Ocean Drake. They look like they want to, but I don't think they're gonna.
Yeah, I'm not sure that they'll be able to find themselves in a good enough position to even be able to, if they wanted to. Which is unfortunate. If they keep finding themselves in this spot, then they're gonna lose too many drakes, especially ocean drakes. It's gonna be kind of hard losing so many ocean drakes into Seoul.
Especially with the far pokier comp of Team WMU, they really appreciate the sustain of the Ocean Drake, as they don't intend to be taking too much damage, and they intend to be getting enough tickling damage that the passive of Ocean Drake will activate. Now WMU is looking to take the Baron. UNF has some vision around it already that does get cleared out, so it is known that WMU is looking at the Baron. Currently, the Volibear, the top laner of Team WMU, is in the bot lane, and that might make taking Baron a little bit difficult because his teleport isn't up. But it looks like UNF doesn't even want to contest it, and it's just sending Nick bot. I'm not really sure what they plan to do about this Baron take, whether they're willing to lay down and let it happen. Both top laners do have TP at this point, so we should be seeing a 5v5 on the Baron when it comes to that, if it comes to that.
I think playing a bit cautious here is the right thing to do. I feel like in a direct 5v5, UNF just goes down. And UNF does need to wait for a pick, just like that on the Nami. Just like that. And they'd be ready
Jack
to fight.
Frost does manage to catch her out with the Event Horizon, followed by Amber Dragon's Light Binding into a Final Spark, into a Primordial Burst, and the Nami just has no chance, manages to go down. Once again, Jack Frost catches out Noah with the Event Horizon, but this time the play flashes out, manages to survive. We see the ADC of Team WMU, Killer Instinct in, managed to get one pick, hits her Void Seeker on Jack Frost, and he will be going down. At this point, we will see Team WMU take the Baron. It looked very good for UNF at the start of the fight with the kill on the Nami, but it just wasn't meant to be, and maybe a bit too many ults invested on a support character. I think they made the right play, but they just couldn't follow it up with anything. Now Team WMU does have the Baron, and almost all of the first and second turrets for Team UNF are knocked down. So it will be very difficult for them to survive the upcoming Baron onslaught. The Volibear for Team WMU already putting pressure on the top tier 2, while the rest of his team is more around the mid lane.
And they've got not too much time to recollect, with the next strike being up only in a minute and a half. So UNF just really needs to hope they don't get a horrible pick here from WMU leading up to the Drake.
It looks like Mike Beeston is about to get caught out by Team WMU. He's seen on a ward near his Raptors, and he does just get cut down, and doesn't even manage to deal damage to the members of Team WMU. Amber Dragon hits a light binding light on Noodle, but does not get any follow-up.
The kill on Mike Beeston isn't the worst, since he should be up in regen by the time the Drake is up, but this seems to be just falling apart into a bigger fight that might end up with Team UNF, Team UNF way too ravaged to even think about contesting that Drake.
I don't think we're going to see anything close to a Drake contest. I think the game is going to be ending quite soon, before we even... Not before the Drake spawns, but before we have to worry about the Drake fight. That being said, some of the members of Team WMU are recalling, retreating, not looking to push deeper than they already have. That looks like they want to take this game a little bit slower, which I don't know if that's an intelligent plan into the members of Team UNF, but I think at this point, WMU is just so far ahead in gold that it doesn't really matter what they choose to do. They will win this game.
I mean, you never know. One fight goes sideways, and the ball could be in UNF's court again.
I completely agree with that, but I just don't think any fight is going to be going sideways for Team WMU at this point. Team UNF does not even dare contest this Ocean Drake, and that is Ocean Soul for Team WMU.
And if this
Now
game
we
goes
see
long enough,
four
that's gonna
members.
go into an elder fight that I think, as of now, is not gonna go well for UNF as well.
Now the next Nash is 3 minutes away. There won't be, or there shouldn't be, too much action happening until then. I think we're going to see all of the waves pushed pretty strongly towards Team UNF. The mid turret for Team WMU is still standing. I don't know if we're going to be seeing the Vagar pick in mid after this game very much. I feel like uh, he's just fallen so far behind the way that it's not worth choosing, even despite his phenomenal evil, which I hate to say, but I don't know how well Jack Frost is stacking that phenomenal evil. It's just not his primary concern on the character.
I think depending on the team comp, the Vagar could definitely work, but I think the way that this team comp is panning out, I agree that the Vagar isn't going to end up being as strong as UNF had hoped it would be.
I think we are about to see the top tier 2, the final remaining tower of Team UNF go down. The Volley Bear of Team UMC is pushing the bottom tier 3. There's absolutely fantastic split map pressure going on the side of Team WMU. And this is just a slow burn. Mike Beeston does flash in with the Sad Mummy's Curse, manages to catch 3 members of Team WMU with it, but he just doesn't have any follow-up from his team. His ADC was nowhere near that fight. It was a very desperate play that really didn't lead to anything. I think there wasn't a lot of coordination behind it. And now the game just looks even more hopeless for Team UNF. I think that with the Sad Mummy's Curse, there is almost a hope of a flip with enough members stunned, but I think at this point, it's just over. We see Volley Bear and Viego go in, followed by the Killer Instinct from the Kai'Sa. Team UNF is just getting jumped by the members of Team WMU. Despite it all, they do manage to take down both the Viego and the Kai'Sa without losing a single member themselves. Perhaps a bit too aggressive play from Team WMU. They recognize that they're ahead, but they just aren't ahead enough to do that sort of aggressive action.
Yeah, it's really easy to
Mike
get a bit
Beeston.
overconfident when you're ahead, and that's kind of what you want to look for when you're playing from behind. But it feels like things fall apart too quickly before they can really find those opportunities and profit off them and try to catch up.
Mike Beeston, perhaps a bit too excited by the kills onto the members of Team WMU, tries to extend the fight, but goes down in the process and sets his team back just a little bit more behind. Both Jack Frost and Tan get caught out. And currently it is only Amber Dragon alive against 2 members of Team WMU, and it just won't be enough. The first game does not go in favor of Team UNF. WMU manages to take it away after a shaky early game. Team WMU wins the first round.
Yeah, and it seemed like UNF was doing pretty well at the beginning there, at least with the small lead that they got. It seemed like they were slowly getting a snowball, but I think that slowly is kind of what ruined it here. I think that WMU was actually mediating that snowball well, and they were kind of actually a little more in control the whole time than UNF thought that they were. And it kind of led to the overconfidence that allowed WMU to catch up and surpass UNF.
I think the turning point of that game really was the that fight on the Ocean Drake at around 20 minutes that led to additionally the Otacon getting taken. Team WMU managed to win that fight and just turned that into winning the game straightforward.
Yeah, it just seemed to me like WMU knew how to play from behind a bit better than UNF was expecting or even had felt from how things were going. So they weren't prepared for WMU to make that comeback and to kind of get that lead there. Playing from behind is an incredibly difficult thing to do, so it's entirely understandable that it doesn't pan out the way you want it to work out, like it did for UNF there. So something I learned actually is that learning how to play from behind is a lot more valuable than learning how to play from ahead, but it's still so immensely difficult to do,
Hmm.
especially when it feels so um what's the word, like when you're being beat down the whole time, it's so demoralizing. It can be really difficult to play from behind and have the patience.
I think WMU just did a really great job while not necessarily significantly behind. They were still slightly behind and managed to overcome that with the slight leads they had. I'm curious what UNF will be looking for this next game. I know they really like these compositions that combo well into each other. I feel like we're probably going to see another Oriana ban. I don't think we're going to get to see Oriana played in any games in this series. So I feel like we could see an Ari come out. We go for a bit more of a pick comp this time around. I feel like that tends to be the pick of choice when the Oriana is not available for Team UNF. Uh, the Galio didn't get banned, amazingly. I don't believe so, anyways. I don't think that WMU banned Jack Frost's Galio.
No, they did
So
not.
we might get to see that come out in one of these three games, but I think on the blue side, we're more likely to see Ari come out from Team UNF here.
And honestly, it's really unfortunate because the Oriana Nocturne comp has been heavily practiced, and if they just ban out Oriana every round, they're not going to be able to practice it, and we won't be able to see it here, which kind of sucks for Team UNF.
Bands so far looking about the same. UNF starts with an Anivia ban. WMU starts with a Soraka ban. Thresh ban comes out for Team UNF, which is very interesting, I suppose. I feel like there are some scary members of Team WMU, and I feel like Noodle is not necessarily as scary as the rest of their team, but the I guess the oppression from the Poppy is just enough that UNF doesn't want to risk it. Um, and I think seeing a Poppy band, they probably do want to go for maybe REHJ for a more dive centric comp this time around, or a pick comp this time around. Um, when we do see the Oriana get banned as the third ban for WMU.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm expecting that Oriana gets banned every single round. I think these I think that WMU might have seen that the Oriana Nocturne is heavily practiced, and they don't even want to think about dealing with it.
We see Lissandra come out for Team UNF. I got the pleasure of talking with Jack Frost somewhat recently, this past weekend at a convention we both attended. And he did say that he was hoping to try out Lissandra a little bit more, just as another option. And it looks like we are seeing that come to fruition this game. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the first time that we've gotten to see him pick the Lissandra in one of these games we've streamed.
I mean, this is the
I
first
look
time I'm
forward
seeing
to it.
it.
I hope he does well with it.
I agree. Yeah, I hope this turns out very well and that UNF can utilize this in future team comps. And I'm glad he got what he wanted here. Could be huge. Sounds like he's been practicing it a bit in his own time.
Additionally, he's been gifted a Lissandra favored matchup with this Mel. I think once again this is a lane where the characters are going to be sort of sitting back, but Lissandra definitely goes in and wants to be a lot more up close and personal to the Mel. So I think mid lane will be a little bit more interactive this game than the last. We see both teams whip out their ADCs, Ezreal for the side of Team WMU and Azeri for Team UNF. Very interesting to see a Zeri pick. I don't think we've actually have we seen a Zeri pick for Team UNF? Obviously, this is Tian or Tan. This is
Tam.
Tan, which we haven't seen play. But did we get to see Amber Dragon play the Zeri at any point, or is this the first time UNF is running a Zeri?
This is the first time I'm seeing Zeri. This is the first time
Okay.
I'm seeing a lot clearly. Zeri Yumi. I mean, we know Zeri Yumi's a strong matchup, but I've never seen Caitlyn on a Yumi, and this is kind of the perfect time to whip that out. Yeah, clearly UNF really wants to just dive in here and blow everyone up and get out, which is very different from the team comp they had that came directly before this. And honestly, it might be for the better. The team comp before this, clearly there was something that wasn't working with it, and it's good to see them just admitting that and adjusting entirely and trying something new and seeing what works. I mean, Scrims is
It's
kind of the time for
interesting
that
to
stuff
me.
now.
Yeah, absolutely. Um,
So, are you gonna
it's
say it's interesting?
interesting to me that we see a Mundo band come out. Um, I I'm curious what that indicates that team uh WMU wants to play. I feel like Mundo is a character that you can kind of comfortably play most things into. I think it indicates maybe a squishier or a more scaling top laner that WMU is hoping to play. Additionally, the Yorick band, they're very scared of Nick in the top lane for Team UNF, which is um it's honestly refreshing to see the top laner get some respect. It's not something we normally see in these scrims here,
Yeah, I'm used to
or at
seeing
least
like triple bans on the jungle and stuff like that. Now we're seeing that with the top lane, I guess.
and the Orn blind comes out for Team uh, WMU. It was notably banned last draft, and I thought that was because UNF famously loves their Orn pick, but I guess that was because WMU wanted to play it themselves and wanted to conserve it. We see Wukong come out for Team UNF, and I do believe that's in the jungle. I haven't seen Nick play Wukong. I suppose he could, but we do just see a comfortable Gnar locked in. Not terribly surprising, in my opinion. And our final pick for Team WMU will be the support, most likely, unless this Mel is going into the support lane, which would be very surprising, especially since it was seemingly picked in response to Lissandra.
I'm
Feels
seeing
like
so many new picks here. This is going to be so interesting.
it feels like WMU needs a bit of AP in their comp. I don't think Team UNF has any necessarily tanky members, but there's a lot of AD on the side of WMU. And I don't think Alistair necessarily fulfills that AP desire. I suppose they're just trusting their Mel to do well into the Lissandra. I think choosing Mel into a Lissandra, you have to be very confident, or Noah must be very confident in this pick.
Yeah, and also like the even though Mel is a lot of AP, she's kind of just a she's a burst mage in the worst sense that once she hits her E and her Q, she's kind of waiting like 8 seconds to be able to do anything else and really be outputting that AP. And she's generally on the worst side when it comes to team fighting and her versatility in team fights, which is another weakness I was going to point out earlier with the Mel Lissandra matchup. That Lissandra is immensely better at team fighting than Mel is. So, for the sake of how team fights are going to go, Mel is honestly not going to be bringing that much AP. If she can, really the most she'd be looking for is maybe trying to execute someone, but most of the champs on UNF side aren't really executable. Nar has his ultimate, Wukong's too high health, Sari's gonna have the Yumi, and Lissandra is also generally a high health champ and can also just have a free Zonias in her R. So I think this Mel's gonna be struggling a lot into this comp.
Now, have you ever seen the Mike Beast and Wukong? I have been aware that that's something that he plays and that he has in his back pocket. But I've only seen it, I think, once, and I can't actually remember how he performed on it. Do you know anything about this pick?
Michael's Wukong pick, I know that he's been working on it, but I honestly haven't been able to see much. I know he's been playing it in ranked, so he's worked on it enough to feel confident with it there and confident with it here, clearly seeing it's in this team comp. And honestly, this is a really beautiful dive comp, so I think Michael knows what he's doing with the Wukong here. This might be a comp he's had on the back burner for a bit, and he's finally had the chance to kind of put it out here. Unless they've done a dive comp and I missed it on some other scrims.
I think I've seen Team UNF do some divier comps, and it was more of a Jarvan focused comp, like Jarvan Oriana. Actually, no, they saved the Oriana for Nocturne. I think I've seen Jarvan Oriana, but they try to go for Jarvan Galio, which, as we see neither of those characters in this comp, I think they are trying to save that for their next game, assuming the Oriana is banned, which it of course will be.
It probably will be, yeah.
So I think this is a new comp that they've cooked up special for this scrim, and if it goes well this time, I think we'll see it played a lot more going forwards.
Oh yeah, and I really hope so, because honestly, I personally love playing in and watching dive comps the most. They're so fun, like the way that they just, like for example, this bot lane with Zeri Yumi. Zeri has to play back and not be aggressive at all, pretty much until first item, Yunto. Right when she hits that first item, she can murder everyone in bot lane. And I find it so fun to play that. Just sitting back and chilling for about 8 to 12 minutes, depending how the farming's going. And then boom, you can just jump in and obliterate people. And it's also incredibly fun in team fights that just seeing like a great angle to dive in and kill someone really as anyone on this team, as Lissandra, as Wukong, as Zeri.
I 100% get how you feel. I think I like pick comps for about the same reason. I love seeing I like the setup quite a lot. I think it's wonderful to see the intelligence that goes into the pre-planning of a fight. And I think that Dive has a lot of the same amount of time put into it and amount of thought put into it as a pick comp does.
I totally agree.
But I think that Dive takes a little bit more skill to execute because generally you have to be a lot closer to your opponent.
Exactly. That's kind of where my excitement in watching it comes from, because it's more easy for it to get flipped and your dive just ends up in you're the one getting executed instead. So it's a bit exciting to see the angle the player is seeing, watch them take it, and not knowing if it's gonna work out or not, and just sitting back for the ride and seeing what's going on. And I think that makes it way more exciting when it actually works out. Like, if the Zeri gets a pentakill or something like that, it is always the most satisfying thing to see.
I could not possibly disagree with you there. Now, we are finally getting into the game. Loading screen simulator. I think that just based on the supports chosen for both teams, we probably won't be seeing any sort of invasion action. We'll just see another 5-point and matched by both sides. And sort of nothing happening until the 3-minute mark when both junglers make their way to either top lane or bot lane. Though I expect both junglers to be playing around their bot lane. Both of the top laners are very sit back and scale type characters, very safe in lane,
I
very
was
just kill picks
I was
that
waiting to make
you
the
don't really
same
know what
comment.
your opponent's doing.
Yeah.
So you just play your own little solitary game. We see Jack Frost stepping up, trying getting a ward around Raptors. He is seen by Wolfblood in this action, and Mike Beeston is the one that ends up putting the ward down. But the fact remains that it was seen, and Wolfblood did bring an Oracle Lens to counter it. So we might see UNF go in once again and Jack Frost exhaust his yellow trinket, but I wouldn't expect it. We see Yumi donating a pink ward to the support of Team WMU. Very thoughtful. Amber Dragon is known to be a very kind, generous, giving person, and I think that was just that in action. Her personality shines through in her gameplay.
Very demure.
Truly. And as expected, both junglers are clearing towards the bottom side of the map. We see a bit of poke coming in from the Ezreal onto the Zeri more than the other way around. Both bot laners do have, or both ADCs rather, have a lot of sustain in the form of their supports. And both managed to hit level 2 at the exact same time. I think Zeri gets a little bit of a better deal because so much of the fight was spent without the Alistar involved, but she still manages to walk away with less health than the Ezreal, a little bit worse for wear. And there's also a freeze being set up in favor of Team UNF in the bot lane. Amber Dragon might lose a minion or two, but really this is a very comfortable position for the ADC of Team UNF, and the freeze is immediately broken.
It's slightly maintained.
As we see the wave pushed into a tower. Both junglers are now getting onto their last camp. They've really stayed quite equivalent with each other in terms of clear speed. The blue buff that Vi is clearing is a little bit further away from bot lane than the Krugs that Mike Beeston is clearing, so we will see the Wukong get to lane a little bit before the Vi does, I think. However, Team WMU does have vision in the Tribush that Team UNF does not know about. Mike Beeston does get seen on the ward, but still manages to get some good damage on Sparty Party, the ADC for Team WMU. That being said, Wolfblood is able to flash and connect a very decisive Vault Breaker on the ADC of Team UNF. Probably the worst member to go down to that. Very unfortunate. The one silver lining for Team UNF is that Noodle, the support for Team WMU, is the one that ended up picking up the kill. Instead of someone a little bit more dangerous.
I mean, Yumi offsetting the Alistairs back there at bot lane is honestly pretty huge. He's not going to be able to back to buy. It's going to be a bit of a... Well, he's backing at the same time as Yumi. So really, Zeri just gets some time to free farm, get the XP alter herself in the bot lane, which is going to be really nice for catching up to the Ezreal and the assist he's got there.
Now, interestingly, we see Mike Beeston backing after his first full clear on Wukong, so he does have a very similar tempo to the Vi. However, Vi was able to get both the top and bottom scuttle. And now Drake is up. Both junglers are clearing towards the bottom side of the map. Both will be ready at about the same time for the Drake. They honestly have very close clears, even though Vi went for both scuttle crabs. And I would say that the Zeri is just a little bit stronger than the Ezreal in the bot lane, just because the Ezreal elected to go for more scaling items. I think after his second back, the Ezreal could see a lot more power coming in, but as it stands, the Zeri is stronger ever so slightly. And I wouldn't say that the Alistairs' one kill is significant enough to tip the scales, I guess.
No, definitely not. It's very unfortunate for WMU that Alistair's the one who ended up getting that kill. Because I think that's the little bit Ezreal would have needed to kind of be equivalent with the Zeri here, but that is just not the case.
I think that the wave clear is a little bit more in favor of Noah, the mid laner for Team WMU, so we do get to see him rotate towards the Drake before Jack Frost, and that will just set WMU in a slightly better position. Now the bot laners for WMU also rotate before those of Team UNF, and it looks like UNF just doesn't plan to contest this first Drake. They've determined that the speedy tempo of Team WMU is enough to deter them. For the past several minutes, there has been a freeze in the top lane on the side of Team WMU. I'm curious how long it's going to take for the Wolfblood, the Vi player for Team WMU, to come up top and collect what Pifik rather has been setting up for her. Now at this point, Pifik goes in for a trade all on his lonesome, manages to chunk down the Gnar even further. And Wolfblood looks like he wants to make a move sometime soon. We do see Alistair rotating top for in anticipation of the Void Grubs, which are spawning very, very shortly, in about 10 seconds. And I think Nick is chunked well enough by Pifik, the Ornn of Team WMU, that this fight is just going to be another given objective. I don't think the members of Team UNF can properly contest this, especially since WMU has had a support that's roamed up for it. Lilu, how do you feel about the state of this game so far? I'm kind of worried for Team UNF. Even though the gold is quite even, the objectives are really, I feel, telling the story.
Yeah, I think the pressure they're putting to kind of take these objectives, even though the gold is even, it is, I feel like, going to end up being way worse when we end up seeing that Herald's also going to be lost, another Drake's going to be lost, and the pressure's going to be increasing. And if UNF concedes too much, they're not really going to have a choice in conceding in the future. And it could have the game go south.
Now, Ton does manage to catch out the Alistair of Team WMU. Looks like he will be taking the tower dive against the Ezreal. Barely, almost doesn't get the kill. Does manage to squeeze it up this time. The very slippery ADC of Team WMU does not slip through the cracks this time around. But gets very, very close, honestly. And with that, I think that we're going to see the ADC for Team UNF get a pretty significant lead on the Ezreal. I think that if this game is going to be won for UNF, it's going to be won strongly through the bot lane. All the other lanes are sort of just sitting quite even with their laners. A slight favor for Team UNF, perhaps, but I think that the objectives taken sort of even that out. Vi is present in the bot side. Looks like she will be camping in the bushes a little bit. It's a massive blow to her tempo to be taking this option. And I think from the way that Tan has been playing, we're not going to see anything really come from it. Now, Alistair does flash forward onto the ADC of Team UNF, and it is enough for the kill to come out. Two members of Team WMU survived with a sliver of health, but eventually the Ezreal does go down. And Amber Dragon played that well enough that she didn't even have to attack the Ezreal for him to go down, so Tan does pick up another kill. However, Ezreal did get the kill on Amber Dragon. I think that is almost worth it. It tips the scale a little bit more in his favor. If you were to die without getting the kill, it would have obviously been a lot more disastrous.
Yeah.
But in the end, that was a favorable, gold-wise, a favorable trade for Team WMU. I think it would have been really devastating if it didn't result in at least 2 kills. And now there's a skirmish going on in the bottom river with 3 members of WMU present and only 2 for Team UNF. Amber Dragon comes in a little bit late to the fight, and Mike Beestum does go down. Amber Dragon ults, but it's just too late. The members of Team UNF are getting cleaned up. Jack Frost barely escapes with his life.
Both the kills going into Mel there, honestly, is pretty bad, since that can have her catch up really well to the rest of the team, and kind of the funneling can help her have a comparable strength that can really stress out UNF in future team fights. But hopefully they can manage the Mel well enough where it won't be too much of an issue.
It looks like the bot laners of Team UNF almost managed to run down Sparty Party, the ADC of Team WMU. He does escape after dodging a UEQ. Just barely. In the end, no one dies. No summoner spells are used.
And bring nothing burger fight.
It looks like WMU is looking to get ready for the Rift Herald spawning in a minute and a half now, about 90 seconds. Just trying to be conscious of what UNF is doing in regards to that. Jack Frost is now roaming bot alongside Mike Beestum. It looks like the members of Team UNF are looking for a dive on the or a collapse on the bot laners here. Mike Beestum is spotted by a deep ward in his jungle, and Jack Frost comes in, perhaps misclicks his ult. The Frozen Tomb self-casted, probably intended to be casted on the Ezreal, but obviously Jack Frost does not have as much time on Lysandra as he does on some of the other characters that he's played. This is a very clear practice game. The members of Team WMU are looking for a tower dive on Nick, the top laner of UNF here. I don't think they're going to be getting it, honestly. We're about to see Meganar come out, and Ornn is just in a terrible position. Nick gets a fantastic solo kill, and Mike Beestum is on top of Wolfblood. I think this might be a kill onto the jungler of Team WMU. Nick actually feels a little scared in this 2v1 and jumps away, so I think that will be the crucial mistake that allows Wolfblood to survive and causes Mike Beestum to go down.
But while all that's
And
happening in the
Noah,
bot lane, Zeri is just completely obliterating the Ezreal and almost the Alistar here too. They hit a clean tower dive to finish off that Ezreal. Almost take the Alistar with, and they just keep getting ahead and scaling in the bot lane.
as a result of the fight in top lane, we do see Rift Herald go to the side of WMU. The next Drake will be a Hextech Drake, meaning it will be a Hextech Soul, and that is spawning in about a minute and 40 seconds. We will be seeing both teams begin to set up vision around the area in anticipation of it. And the game will just sort of be focused around this dragon. I think either this dragon or the next dragon is going to end up being very pivotal. This dragon isn't as close to the timing of an Otacon spawn as the last game. I think if it's delayed long enough, that whichever team takes it could certainly snowball that into an Otacon take, into winning the game, sort of like how we saw the last game. I think it would be almost smart for Team UNF to delay it, just because their bot laners are so very strong right now. And I do think that the Mel is quite a bit stronger than the Lysandra. 5-0 is nothing to sneeze at, but the UNF's sole lead, I guess, is their Zeri, so they really need to win this game off of her back.
Yeah, and I agree with what you're saying about the dragon into Otacon, that I think the smart move would be to offset the objectives. I feel like if WMU knows that, they're going to try to force Drake here to force UNF into a fight that they have to take that they normally otherwise would not want to. Which we could be seeing soon, but seeing the way Ezreal has to deal with that lane being pushed up so far, they might not even get the chance to even consider such a thing.
It looks like WMU is just giving the Drake and has traded it for 2 turrets in the top lane. Quite a bit of gold in favor of them.
And it looks like UNF is not thinking about scattering it at all or staggering it at all to make it match with Otacon. A bit unfortunate, but it's a guaranteed Drake regardless. So, not the worst.
Otacon will be spawning 2 minutes from now on the bottom side of the map. I expect that we will be seeing quite a lot of setup. There's already so much vision set up on the side of Team UNF around the Otacon. It really makes it look like they want it, but I don't know if they'll be allowed to have it. That being said, the Noah, the mid laner, the very strongest member of Team WMU, does burn his teleport. It looks like they will not be focusing their bot laners, Team WMU's bot laners, uh, towards this fight, and they will not be really trying to help them at all. Ezreal is being put into a solo lane against Team UNF's top laner. I feel like the Gnar is a character that can comfortably get on top of Ezreal and maybe even do something about him. But at this point, WMU has sort of cast aside their ADC in favor of a stronger team for the Otacon.
Yeah, it seems they're focusing their efforts more on their mid laner and keeping her strong and kind of guiding team fights around the mill.
Mike Beeston does get caught out a little bit, forced to use his flash and his ult to escape a three-man camp by the members of Team WMU, and Jack Frost shortly follows, gets taken down by the Mel's Golden Eclipse. All of the members of Team WMU are quite low. The Gnar is really wreaking havoc, but just can't manage to finish it off. The Zeri of Team UNF manages to get one kill, but just can't turn it into any more, and the Mel walks away with a triple kill. This game is not looking very good for Team UNF once again. The
Yeah,
mid laner is just so strong on the side of WMU here.
yeah, truly devastating stuff to see the males scaling so effectively and just kind of destroying whoever she decides to kill whenever she wants.
I think it's quite interesting that she still hasn't elected to buy a Darksteel, and the way her inventory is looking, I don't think she will. Um, Team UNF seems to be focusing their efforts on the top, or at least the upper side of the map. I don't think that we're going to see Team UNF contest the Otacon. Frankly, I don't think they can contest the Otacon. Last fight looked pretty close. I think UNF could have turned that into a win for themselves, but I think after the results of the last fight, they won't be able to fight comfortably, and the best they can look for are these cheeky little picks on the Ornid top, which, despite the number advantage, Team UNF does not manage to actually secure that kill. And we see some pings going down on the Otacon, but nothing really happening about it. It looks like they've recognized that what UNF really needs to do is look at the mid turret, or I guess I feel that the best thing that could be done is to take turrets on the sides of the map that the Otacon is not on. But instead, UNF is looking to maybe collapse on the Ornn, but I think at this point, he's just not getting collapsed on. Hextech Drake does spawn in a minute. I think the ADC in support of Team UNF are going to want their recall, spend a bit of their gold that they have built up. Well, I don't know if there's really anything for the Zeri to spend gold on, but any later recall is just unreasonable. We do see a little bit of fighting going on in the top lane. Ornn invests his ult before the Drake fight. I don't think he'll have it up for the Drake, and he does manage to deal quite a bit of damage to Nick, the Gnar player. Nick is actually looking to escape this Ornn. I think he's actually going to, which is completely enormous. Not having the Ornn ult and having the Gnar present for the team fight is a big deal. Ornn does TP down, so he'll have a little bit of a tempo advantage, but he's starting the fight with no ult and half health. I think that this is something a little bit good for Team UNF here. I don't know how much it'll matter, but, you know, it's something. It looks like Team UNF, despite it all, will not be contesting the Drake, or maybe not despite it all, but more because of it all. There's not really anything they can do at this point. They're just slowly losing objective after objective. The best they can do is look for cheeky kills. Noah almost manages to go down to Mike Beeston, but at this point, the Mel is 10-0. I don't think there's anything that can really be done to that character. Um, she's almost at Rabas, a mere 500 gold away.
And Nick is
And
they just keep abusing that Ezreal and kind of feeding whoever they need to have kills. Narg showing up bot and kind of just destroying Ezreal while he's trying to solo push lane and just get some farm.
at this point, I don't really see a path for Team UNF to win the game. I think they've been doing a really good job trying to get these cheeky little um, kills here and there on the map while their opponents are trying to clear objectives. But these cheeky little kills that UNF is trying to get, they're not getting. And at this point, I really don't know what they can do. I think there's nothing they can do, honestly, to change the result of this game to set themselves on a winning path.
Yeah, I definitely think
I
it's
think
really hard
that
to come back from conceding so many objectives.
I
Especially
think
some
the
really tough
scaling
permanent ones
for
like the void
sorry.
grubs. Oh no, yeah, no, you go ahead. The scaling.
I was going to say the scaling for Team WMU is just a little bit better than Team UNF's as well. I think that they're playing characters that do better into the late game with the Ornn, with the Mel, with the Vi. Like, I don't think this is going anywhere for Team UNF, and I'm kind of almost sad to see how this game is going to be playing out because I feel like it's just going to be yet another slow burn. UNF is doing a good job of pushing lanes while WMU is looking for Baron. Jack Frost shoving the bot lane all the way to the tier 2, forcing a response from the strongest member of WMU, Noah, the Mel. So maybe UNF can look for a fight here after that strong tempo play by Jack Frost. Unfortunately, after everything, they still can't deal any damage to the Ornn. Jack Frost goes in, does not manage to get anything out of it. Noah cleans him up, and it's just a clean 3 kills in favor of WMU with hardly any damage even dealt to their players. I think that this is realistically this should be a Baron take into game over. But based off of the results of the last game, I think we're going to see this Baron get taken. I think we're going to see an inhibitor get taken. I think that we're going to see Soul get taken, and then eventually the game is going to end after that.
Yeah, I think it seems like WMU likes to play a bit more patiently and kind of play around with the objectives they have, being a bit calm, hoping they don't overstep and lose the lead. Which honestly, yeah, as a general philosophy, is incredibly good as a strat to play with to kind of cut your losses short and maintain your lead ahead. So I can't really blame them for deciding to play so safe.
We do see a lot of presence on the bottom side of the map for Team UNF, which I don't think is the best idea just because their top lane is quite pushed in already. They need to really push that out. But I think it's indicative they want to look for picks in the bot lane, or that they're aware that their bot tier 2 is the only one standing and that Team WMU is going to be looking for it. However, despite the awareness, I don't think there's really anything that can be done to stop WMU from just walking through the turret. We see a 4-1 split with the Baron here for Team WMU, with 4 in the bot lane, 1 in the mid lane. Ornn is now walking to join his team in the bot lane, so we have all 5 members of Team WMU in the bot lane here. In my opinion, I don't think this is a very great way to split the Baron, and I don't think it's nearly as effective as if they had just kept the Ornn in the mid lane. I think, honestly, the mid turret would already be down if the Ornn was still in the mid lane. But it could be that WMU really is looking to end the game here by walking through the turret and then through Team UNF. The tier 3 in bot lane does manage to go down. Noodle, the Alistair, is looking for something, manages to get a cute little knockup. Orin follows that up with a knockup of his own. And the members of Team UNF do fall, dealing half the health of Noodle the Alistair. That I think this is going to be GG. I don't think there's enough damage on the side of Team UNF to deal with all the chunky members of Team WMU, and I think that WMU is just too way far ahead. Almost a 13,000 gold lead at this point. And Team WMU does manage to walk away with yet another victory.
Yeah, it seemed like they knew what they were up to, moving the Ornn to the bot lane. They knew they'd be winning that team fight, and they were willing to risk that over playing it a bit more safe and more proper with keeping the Ornn mid to take as much of the base as possible. Because winning the team fight does win the game, as we can see, just happened. Yeah, I really liked how that game was going at the beginning. I mean, not as much as the first game. I think it being even around 15 minutes in was kind of a sign that it was gonna flip really easily one way towards another, or one way or the other. And again, not to be pessimistic to our home team, but that tends not to fare well in UNF's experience. So like I said earlier when you asked me, I was worried about the fact that they were even, and it seems rightfully so, as it did not pan out well, and they did end up losing more objectives, and it was just very, very tragic downfall. Maybe in this third game they'll go for a different team comp, maybe one they're more comfortable with, that can serve them better and get the results that they'd like to see.
Now, do you think that we will end up seeing the Jarvan Galio comp this game? I think that we've seen it in the past couple of scrims that have had Galio available. And I feel like the fact that we haven't had a Jarvan ban or a Galio ban, I feel like that's a sign that because both of those characters are up, we might see something start to happen here. Um,
Yes, I think because they keep focusing on banning Oriana, I think that's exactly what we'll see. I think we're gonna see the Jarvan Galio, and again, like I was saying with the more comfortable comps, that is definitely a comp that they are more comfortable running. Galio is one of Jack Frost's strongest picks, and Michael has practiced at J4 to hell and back. So I think they'd love to execute a Jarvan Galio, especially if it does get them to end off on a win here instead of a complete losing streak. Could certainly be the move they're looking to make here.
I'm really curious what we're going to see from the mid laner of Team WMU here. I feel like these past couple of games, he's been playing very well into Jack Frost, and I think before even we got into the first game, we mentioned that Jack Frost is a very standout member of Team UNF. He really, how well he's doing seems to indicate how well the game is going for Team UNF. And I feel like the mid laner of WMU has been doing a really great job of keeping him shut down. I feel like I haven't seen Jack Frost rotating to as many fights as I normally do. I think that's a great indicator to how strong the Noah is for WMU, and I'm curious what he's going to be playing this game. I think if we do expect a Galio pick from UNF, that maybe we could see a Cassiopeia in response. not a very great pick into the Galio, but it's something that Noah is very confident and comfortable on. I think it's also possible we end up seeing the Swain come out. I know Noah does play a little bit of that character, and that is a very strong character in Galio. Just not a very popular character to be played in a more, uh, I guess, competitive setting. It'd be really interesting to see him pull out an ADC mid. He has a bit of time on Ziggs and Tristana, but I wouldn't expect that nearly as much. I know Tristana does do quite well into Galio, but it's a very different pick from what we've seen these past two games.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like for the purpose of the Galio Jarvan comp, I feel like Jack Frost continuing to be shut down in lane isn't the biggest deal, since Galio's kind of there mostly for his ult more than anything that and what that provides to team fights. And clearly, with how these games are going, it seems that their scaling is being more focused on their ADC more than anything. So I think if he does go Galio, he's going to be looking to be ulting the bot lane and kind of helping out with counter ganks or winning those 2v2s in lane and kind of helping their ADC get ahead, which would be a change in what we usually see in the execution of Team UNF. But yeah, that's what I'm expecting with the Galio J4.
Now draft has started. So far, we are seeing the same bans from both sides, with WMU really banning out Amber Dragon, getting that Soraka, getting that Seraphine out of the way, and UNF making sure that the uh, Anivia of WMU's Noah does not get to see play. Now these secondary bans are taking a little bit more consideration. I wonder if we're going to end up seeing a Swain ban here. I know UNF likes to often pick their mid laner within the first three. We see Lilia ban come out. It was their third ban last game, so they just want to leave something open. WMU does ban the Oriana, so it looks like, uh, if anything, I would expect UNF to pull out the Jarvan Galio. Uh, Especially since they're red side, they could choose it in the first two. It might be a little ambitious, but we will see.
Yeah, personally, like I said, I'm fully expecting it.
We see a Caitlyn ban come out on the side of UNF. It looks like they're really trying to put a lot into their the success of their ADC. I feel like we don't normally see an ADC ban, and I wonder if that's a strong indicator of what we want to see Ton play.
And there's a Tristana you mentioned, which could be flex picked into mid, like you were saying. Which it would be interesting if that's what we're going to be seeing this round.
I wonder if just the Tristana showing up on the side of WMU is enough to deter the Galio pick from UNF. I almost worry that UNF didn't do their research well enough and doesn't know that this is a possible mid lane pick just because they're choosing the Zaya. And we will be seeing Gragas come out for Team UNF. I believe this is Gragas jungle. I know it's something that the team has been looking at as a character. It's a very flexible character. Gragas is really capable of going quite a few lanes, but really is only effective in a couple of them. He's a character that provides a lot of presence around the map with his mobility. He's got a lot of CC and lockdown between his ult, his stun, the slow from his Q. He's a character that fulfills a lot of roles and has a lot of skill available to him. But I do believe this will be the jungle pick for Team UNF. And we do see the Rakan sniped from Team UNF. I don't know if Amber Dragon was intending to play Rakan, but it won't even be an option at this point.
Honestly,
Obviously,
I'm
a
not
very
so
popular
sure.
character to pick with Isaiah.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that Amber Dragon actually plays Rakan. And I know they've been generally a nerfed duo, so it shouldn't be too bad for UNF that Rakan's taken here.
And we see the Janna come out as a support for Team UNF. Not a character I feel like I see around just super often. And it does look like UNF doesn't know about the Tristana flex mid. It almost makes me doubt myself. I don't know how much the ADC of Team WMU plays Tristana, and I will be double checking that. I don't think he plays her very much, but just the way this is going, I'm almost being convinced myself that this Tristana could be the ADC. And after a quick glance, it looks like um, Sparky, was it Sparky Party? Yeah, Sparky Party does not really play any Tristana. So UNF, if they did their research, should really know that this Tristana is mid. They should be well aware, which makes me a little worried about the Yasuo ban, just because they might not know. And it looks like WMU has done their research. They're aware that the Gragas is not intended to be in the top lane. We see a Mundo ban come out, um, which is a really, really well done by them. And we do see the Galio ban come out, which is super surprising. I think Tristana is a character that does very well into Galio, but there's just enough reverence of the Jack Frost Galio that it manages to get squeezed into the bans. I feel like you'd almost want to see the Galio come out, but I guess with the Gragas instead of the Jarvan, the J4, it would be expected that we wouldn't see Galio. And also between Tristana and Graves, it might be very hard to pick a Galio. I'm not so sure about the Galio as a fifth ban on the side of WMU, but it is what it is. And we see the Azir come out, another character that was discussed um, by Jack Frost as something potential for him to play. Um, he told me that he doesn't necessarily feel confident on it, but I think this game will be a great indicator of whether we'll see it again. And we see the Cassiopeia come out for WMU, so that Tristana does look like it will be going bot lane. I know Noah is a big Cassiopeia player. I'm very worried for Jack Frost, quite frankly. I think that choosing a character you're not necessarily comfortable with into Cassiopeia, or really a Cassiopeia player, I think it's going to be a tough time for him. And finally, we see Mordekaiser versus UNF is unsure between Kennen and Cassante. I honestly like Cassante a bit more. I feel like UNF could use a little bit more frontline than what they have currently. And we have seen the Warwick pick before by Nick, the top laner of UNF, so that is solidified as what it's going to be.
Yeah, honestly, I'm a little
And we
surprised
will
seeing the
be,
Cassiopeia there because I was pretty certain that would be a Tristana mid. I don't know about you.
and we do see the question of Warwick or Gragas top. I honestly don't think that deserves an answer, and it looks like a half answer is given both top all the time, but eventually, like Beeston does cave, Warwick top.
Both top all the time. What a cocky answer.
I really don't think that deserved response, but Team UNF is just too kind, too willing to give out any information the enemy team desires, the oppositional team desires.
Yeah, I feel like
So,
if they look at the U.GG, they should know who's playing which. But That's just me, I guess.
And character selection has begun. We are about 4.5 minutes away from the start of the third and final game. I think we'll be finishing around 11, probably, maybe 11:10 at the latest. I think that team WMU has done a fantastic job of drafting. I think that Graves and Mordekaiser are characters that are really strong in the early game and can Graves especially can be present for the laners who need him. And Cassiopeia and Tristana are both monsters in the late game. I think that this is a composition that is very well set up for all stages of the game. I think mid game is where they're going to be the weakest, and I don't think that Team UNF shines strong enough in the mid game to take advantage of that, I guess.
Yeah, I was gonna
I
say the exact same thing. I entirely agree, actually. I feel like um, I feel like with it being such a strong weakness, it might have even been identified and specifically accounted for in making the mid game the weakest. But maybe I'm giving them too much credit. Couldn't tell you.
I think that the strongest hopes Team UNF has this game are the Zaya and the Warwick. I think um, just because Sparky Party doesn't have the most experience on Tristana, it could be an opportunity to sort of take advantage of that for Team UNF. And I think that if Mordekaiser doesn't do well in the early game, then he's not going to be even considered very much in the late game. So those are the real opportunities UNF has to take hold and win this game. I think mid lane is in a troublesome situation. I think especially since Azir just got nerfed, Jack Frost is going to have a very tough time on the character, especially into a Cassiopeia.
Yeah, I have to agree. Cassiopeia is just so incredibly suffocating. And the way that the other games went, I think she really is going to be the main oppressor the entire game. I think she's going to get an early pick here or there. She's going to get like 2 kills. And she's going to be unstoppable the way she was on the Mel. And who did she play in the first game? I'm so sorry. I cannot remember.
Um, no, let me think about that. It
Well,
was
in
a
the first
Veigar
game
into
as
a
well.
Hui. It was a Hui.
It was Hui. There you go. Yes.
Sorry.
No, you're totally fine. I also forgot. Yeah, but I feel like the mid laner on team WMU, it just is consistently the one that is the oppressive one that is kind of making all the trouble just after a handful of picks and a little bit of scaling.
Um, Now I know this isn't necessarily about the game, but just because we're waiting, uh, I'm actually not sure if you have the like custom game pulled up on the stream, so I don't know if the audience is
No,
aware, but we
I
are
do.
waiting on
Yeah, we are
the
waiting on
jungler.
technical difficulties. Yeah.
The jungler of Team WMU has had a disconnection issue on his computer. So just while we're waiting, Lilu, can I ask you, are
Yeah.
you excited about the new Smiling Friends episode coming out? Or actually, I think it came out yesterday, but it comes out tonight on Max, and I think it'll be available to watch right about when we're done with the stream.
Well, seeing that I'm not caught up on the rest of the show yet, I don't think I'd be getting there quite yet.
I see. How far in are you? Are you watching it at all?
I did not watch it more than how much I saw the other day. I fear I've been a bit busy ignoring my responsibilities.
I know you said you were gonna get some work done when I left after having lunch with you earlier today. Did you end up getting any work done, or was it just
A little bit.
straight onto the game?
A li-
Okay.
it might have been both.
Might have been both.
It might have been both. I did get some notes done. I finished one of my chapters. I just have another one to get through. It's not too bad.
Hmm.
I did see the screenshot of Charlie that was on Facebook. So I'm tapped in. I know what's going
You're
on.
at least aware enough of what's going on in the show right now.
Kinda, yeah. That's
And it
how
looks like the
I've always been.
jungler has reconnected.
Let's go. Game soon in 3 minutes.
Really, if you think about it, it's more like 4.5 because we get to wait for all the people to choose their characters and their runes. And we so often see them wait the whole way. Wow, I'm very impressed. Usually, I feel that Team UNF likes to wait it out, really take their time thinking about their skins, their colors, and their runes. I know often they try to match colors. I don't know if it necessarily comes through all the time because I don't think any of the players are really big whales, but it is something I usually expect to take a longer period of time. And I honestly appreciate it as a caster that we're not forced to sit in this delayed position for too terribly long.
I honestly think it's kind of cute that they always try to match skins. It's so lovely. It's so lighthearted and not serious, and I think it's awesome.
Hmm. Now, I think that this game, just because it's so important for both top laners to get ahead, do you think we're going to see either jungler clear up this game?
Given given the top laners they have in Mordekaiser and Warwick, I think it's the same issue as the previous games, where both top laners are just they're so mobile and oppressive in their damage that ganking doesn't really turn out well anyways. Like you wouldn't get much value out of ganking a Mordekaiser or Warwick. And through that principle you would have to leave them alone, and just not that you want to leave top lane alone, just you kinda have to. Because it would be a waste of time to try and then get nothing out of it. When you could be farming, you could be ganking elsewhere.
I think the way I see it, it really depends on the individual in the top lane to set the wave, like freeze the wave well enough that a gank is available because Warwick and Mordekaiser are both fairly immobile champions. Um, and I think if a jungler does manage to get on top of them, they're pretty much cooked. They're over, and it's a uh very Warwick favored matchup. So I think this Mordekaiser is honestly in for quite a lot of trouble here, and I think it would be honestly not the worst thing in the world for the Graves to come up. I don't think Warwick has the same potential to 2v1 that Mordekaiser does, especially early in the game. Um, but I guess that's just how I see it.
I honestly don't know top lane matchups very well, so I will take your word for it before I would take my own. Um, but I also feel like the way the other games have been going, where clearly they need to scale through their ADC. I think clearing down is just the right thing to do for UNF to do that scaling, and therefore for WMU to do in reaction to prevent that scaling. And that kind of leads into just they both go bot and nothing happens.
Do you think now that we don't have Oikawa on the team of UNF, that we'll be seeing a significantly lower amount of invades and a significantly higher amount of 5-point starts?
I think
Do
so,
you think that was
because
something that was brought on by his character choices? Sorry, go on.
yes, that's exactly what I was gonna say. I think because of Oikawa's champ pool, where you would see characters like Blitzcrank and like Nautilus and like Braum, it opened up the possibility to invades a lot easier than with the champ pool of Amber Dragon, who she plays enchanters, like we saw Janna, Soraka, Yumi. She plays Seraphine. She plays Lux. These are not really champs you want to invade with. It's a bit unfortunate because UNF benefited from the invades every now and then, but I don't think they're worth. I don't think invades are worth building a whole team comp around. I think it's more so some team comps have the cherry on top of being able to invade, if you'd
Hmm.
like.
I think that's a wonderful way to put it. But now, as mentioned, we do see the Gragas clearing upwards this game, which is very abnormal, I feel, for UNF. Usually they play very heavily around their bot lane. It could just be that Gragas is a character that desperately needs the blue buff for his first jungle clear. But maybe that's an indication that Team UNF should really only be choosing this character on blue side. But uh, whatever the reason, we do see Mike Beeston clearing upwards this game, which is going to be just an absolute monster of a time for the Mordekaiser. Now, the Warwick into Mordekaiser matchup is incredibly Warwick favored. It's one of those matchups that like some matchups are like favored on one side, to the point where if you're really good at one of the characters, you should be able to beat your opponent even in a negative matchup. Warwick into Mordekaiser is not that. Warwick should just roll over this Mordekaiser. And I think really the main thing that a Warwick has to worry about is mana usage. And I think Nick is already running kind of low on mana, but the Mordekaiser is already at a position where a single spell from the Warwick will take him down. And we do see Flash forced out just before the 3-minute mark.
Which is honestly
I think we're
really great
gonna,
early.
yeah, I think it really allows the Warwick a lot of kill pressure already. Um, and I don't know if we'll see it done so early into the game, but I feel like there is a great setup for a tower dive right about now. Um, Might be some on the Gragas, a little bit slower of a jungle clear than most other characters. I think it's one of the weaknesses of Gragas is that his first clear isn't extremely swift, or at least Michael is not as comfortable with it as he might be with some other characters. But because of that slower clear, he wasn't necessarily on time for the dive timer, and nothing will really come of him having cleared top, except for the free scuttle.
I mean, as long as they keep looking for it and posturing for it, it'll come eventually. Eventually, he'll have the right timing and it'll all work out. And a dive would honestly set top lane ahead really far in a way that I think top lane could be left alone and it would continue being successful on its own, which might be what they're looking for here, where they don't have to worry about top lane and it'll just win.
Now, it might be that Mike Beeston is present largely to deter the gank from Wolfblood in top lane. We do see the Graves present looking for something, and even Amber Dragon on the Janna has roamed up. Uh, Honestly, I feel like Pythic is doing a fantastic job of absorbing pressure for his team. He's just taking so many members of Team UNF and not dying to them that I feel it really sets Team UNF back. Gragas spent almost 2 minutes, I mean about a minute and a half, playing around with the Mordekaiser. Um, and he expended Flash, and he didn't end up taking Mordekaiser down. Mordekaiser just had to back in TP. Now he's even in a position where he could reasonably kill the Warwick. I think that this has been some fabulous Mordekaiser play, and the Warwick does, of course, manage to survive. It's just so difficult for Mordekaiser to kill a Warwick, but this is probably about the worst situation we could expect Nick to be in. And Wolfblood has really also been able to reap the rewards of the Gragas sitting top for so long. Already managed his second full clear, while Gragas is not even through his first half of the jungle for his second full clear. Additionally, the ADC for Team UNF was left alone for quite a while, but Tan was just able, or Tan rather, was able to play well enough that he didn't get set back for it. The first Drake, Cloud Drake, has spawned bot side, but neither team is really posturing for it. If anything, Wolfblood is on the bottom side of the map, maybe a little bit more set up for it than Mike Beestum. Nick still hasn't taken his first back. I think it's a really big mistake, but he manages to catch out Mordekaiser under his turret with the infinite duress, and Mike Beestum is present in top lane. They're really looking for this Mordekaiser to get taken down. I honestly think it's a mistake how much pressure is being put onto the Mordekaiser at this point. He does go down for all that effort, but it's like it's already a losing matchup in top lane, and you're just sort of tipping the scale even more in favor of your top laner in exchange for a Cloud Drake. It just doesn't feel very worth it, in my opinion. While all that's been going on, the lane I haven't really commented on at all, mid lane, Jack Frost is actually doing a pretty solid job. I think both Cassiopeia and Azir are characters that want to scale well into the late game, and Azir especially has an incredibly weak and fragile early game. And Jack Frost is doing a fantastic job of surviving through that early game. I think once Azir hits level 9, he's a lot more solid of a character, a lot more capable of doing things on his own. And we're almost at that level 9.
Not even to mention that he was already doing pretty great on his own beforehand. So that means great things for when he's actually hitting that level 9.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do see a little skirmish starting to happen in the blue side jungle of Team WMU. Mike Beestum does get caught out and does go down. There are 4 members of WMU still present, and the grubs will be going over to the side of WMU. I feel like there's not really anything UNF can do from this point onward except just settle back into their lanes. It was very unfortunate that Gragas got caught out, but it doesn't, regardless of how unfortunate it is, it doesn't change the fact that he did get caught out, and WMU has comfortably cleared the first 2 objectives. Now, UNF does have 1,000 gold lead. It's not very much, but if they know what they're doing, they can definitely snowball that into something more.
I am a little worried that we're kind of seeing a repeat of the last game in the conceding of objectives and in the slight gold leads that aren't really snowballing anywhere, and that we might just be watching the same game happen again.
It's my opinion that this Warwick is going to get far enough ahead of the Mordekaiser that he will be a realistic problem. And I don't think that's something that we saw last game. I think that's going to be the biggest difference between last game and this game. And that difference is how well Nick can play on this Warwick. Now, I have seen him pilot this champion before. I think he performed acceptably. I think he needs to perform exceptionally for how much he is being, for lack of a better word, babied. I think he's being supported very strongly by his team this game. And I think that the grubs not going in favor of Team UNF, definitely not his fault, but it is a very big shame for how much effort was put into the top side of the map.
Indeed.
This game.
Indeed. We're seeing a lot of ults coming out in the bot lane with that little fight happening with Rakan, Janna, and Zaya R, and lots of summoners too. Rakan also flashing, Janna flashing, Zaya barriering. Nothing really coming of it except for just kind of resisting that gank we saw there. And Graves is coming back down for more while top lane is getting ganked as well.
I think we're about to see a tower dive come up. Amber Dragon has already squeezed her way out of there, but looks like Tan was not so aware or not so lucky as to escape as well. I think without having a barrier and without having the Feather Storm, he's just gonna get cleaned up, and that's exactly what happens before I can
Yeah.
even finish it.
And that did match
Meanwhile,
what happened in top lane, where they just exchanging barriers with the Warwick, just barely they killed the Mordekaiser there with the gank. So honestly, a 1-to-1 on the gank isn't so bad. And Janna is giving this Tristana hell, but it doesn't quite kill her there. I'm pretty close though, which with just the boots and an Aether Wisp, that's a lot of damage from the Janna.
the next Drake
And
is
here we
up
see
in
Nick
40
just
seconds.
completely obliterating Mordekaiser yet again in the top lane. It's exactly like you're saying that matchup is just so difficult, and with Warwick ahead, already having Bork, the anti-heal the Mordekaiser's carrying, doesn't seem to make much of a dent in how hard the Warwick kind of owns him there.
I think at this point, top lane, like honestly, a character select top lane was so far gone. It's almost not even worth looking there because we know Nick is just gonna at some point be a monster that runs through this game. Now, the second Drake this game, Hextech Drake, has spawned, and we see both teams sort of positioning around it, except Mike Beestum does not seem to want to contest the Drake, the jungler for Team UNF. So that will be yet another objective, just gifted neatly and nicely to Team WMU. Mike Beestum on the Gragas flashes into a body slam into the Cassiopeia, then drops a pet or a my bad, an explosive cask. Doesn't manage to kill her initially, but does manage to catch her out in the end. Hextech Drake does go in favor of Team WMU. However, two members of WMU go down, and I think UNF is starting to really get a noticeable gold lead. Though a lot of that is packed into the Warwick and top lane, really standing out in this game.
I mean,
I
also with
really
the
hope that
with
Nick's
Jack
going to
Frost
be
in
the
the mid
carry.
lane, Azir's got 2 kills and a bounty over on Cassiopeia. That's 600 gold in and of itself.
Absolutely, absolutely something worth noting.
I also thought it was really funny that when that skirmish was happening mid, most of the members of WMU kind of just abandoned doing the Drake and left Graves to do it by himself, and bot lane almost contested that and took it from him. So if they keep making little mistakes like that, like rotating off and leaving themselves vulnerable, we could see the objectives starting to turn into UNF's favor.
Rift Herald is spawning in about a minute. I do think this is the objective that UNF wants to contest, compete with, really. Objective feats have already gone in favor of Team WMU, and really the feats of strength lie in who can take the first tower, which it's either going to Tristana or Warwick. I think realistically it should go to Warwick, but I understand that it can be a bit of a struggle as a top laner to take the turret before Tristana. Mordekaiser will not get a recall off in time for this Baron, so he should almost be a not Baron, but Rift Herald. He should almost be a non-factor, and we have 4 members of Team UNF on this Herald spawning in 1 second. It looks like it will be going into the hands of UNF. Wolfblood, the jungler for WMU, just comfortable with the 3 objectives he's been taking. He says, "Hey, listen, I appreciate it. You guys can have one for your trouble." And in the meantime, the ADC for Team UNF does go down once again. I think we're going to see the first trick go in favor of the Tristana at the end of the day, and that will be the feats of strength for Team WMU.
Yeah, watching that 1v1 that the Tristana and the Zaya had was honestly really kind of sad because Tristana just kind of jumped in and auto attacked, and Zaya ulted and barriered and flashed and did everything in his power to kind of dodge what the Tristana was doing. And Tristana left Zaya alone, knowing she just ult under tower whenever Rakan shows up. And here in the top lane, we have the whole team chasing down Nick, trying to get his shutdown. And they do force his flash, but fortunately he does get away with pretty much his entire life.
Now there is a skirmish going on in the blue side jungle of Team WMU. Mike Beeston does go down. Nick has to infinite duress away from the fight. Once again, the ADC for Team UNF isn't present for this fight, and really I think that's what set them behind there. Jack Frost able to comfortably poke the waves, so his mid-tier 1 is not contested as a result of the fight. And I think that Nick escaping with his life will be enough for the top tier 1 to also not be contested. Ultimately, there are no objectives around the map obtained by WMU for that fight, but it was still just unfortunate that the jungler for Team UNF had to go down.
Yeah, it's also
The next Drake, Chemtech, sorry.
No, I was gonna say what's also unfortunate is what you're saying about the ADC not being present, Zaya. They kind of just keep staggering her kills in a smart way. She has to lane by herself to try to catch up and get farm. Tristana can beat her in that 1v1, and then they can go pick a fight. They know Zaya won't be able to be there. And it's really just a smart team decision that WMU has been consistently making.
We see Nick caught out in a 2v1 versus the Tristana and the Mordekaiser. And Mordekaiser does use the Realm of Death on him, and Nick almost seems to flounder. He forgets that his auto attacks heal him. Does not manage to strike the Mordekaiser and goes down to the Tristana bomb that was on him when he entered the realm. Very unfortunate that UNF loses their strongest member right as the Drake is up, but with the WMD or WMU preoccupied, the Drake does go in favor of Team UNF. Gragas gets a wonderful flash body slam engage on the 2 members of Team WMU. One manages to go down. Jack Frost tries for a cute little Shurima shuffle, does not manage to get it. Noodle flashes in on the Rakan, does not manage to hit his airborne. Flashes coming in left and right from both teams. Jack Frost just swinging away at the mid laner of WMU and manages to trade his life for hers. Tristana jumps in on the Warwick of Team UNF, ults him away. She just wanted to feel included in the fight. But at this point, the fight has ended, and I would say it is in favor of Team UNF. They walked away with a dragon. I think the kills were at least equivalent.
Yeah, and it's great that they're finally
overall,
getting a dragon, especially that it's the first in the series of a Chemtech Soul. If they continue on this path, they'd be getting four Chemtech Drakes with Soul, and that's honestly really good.
We will see Otacon on the top side of this game, spawning within the next 20 seconds. Team WMU, it seems to be a little more present, more members on the top side of the map. Tristana decides not to recall. Realizes her team might need her for the fight that's about to come up. And we have both mid laners matching each other in the bot lane. Both of them also have Unleashed Teleport, will be prepared to use it for this upcoming Otacon fight. Nick does manage to catch out Pyfit, Pyfit on the Mordekaiser, chunks him down a little bit. We don't see any summoners exchanged, but it's just chunking down the Mordekaiser before the fight. Fantastic little bit of chip by Nick. And UNF is really taking the offensive here, going straight for that Mordekaiser. Jack Frost is forced to use his Emperor's Divide while in the Death Realm, does manage to take down the Mordekaiser in the end. Mike Beast to force to Zhonya's. Nick is just in on Wolfblood, the jungler for or WMU. And UNF walks away with only losing a single member. Sparty Party, the Tristana, is still alive, and I think that's a character that can really clear through all the low health members of Team UNF, but I don't think they're going to give her that chance. They're not even looking for the Otacon. They're just appreciating the kills and the gold that they got, and they're stepping away. Sparty Party is still on the hunt, and the Janna Amber Dragon, Team UNF, does go for a cheeky little recall. Just barely doesn't die to the Tristana explosive charge. And ultimately, Team UNF does escape the fight with only one death on the team. However, Otacon is still up. Both teams do still need to be looking at it, need to be conscious of it. Currently, there isn't vision on it for either team, but Nick is prowling the area and making it really hard for any vision to come up on the side of Team WMU. We see Mordekaiser this time around placed in the bottom side of the map. I think it's a smart idea to leave the weakest member of the team away from the objective, just so you don't have to waste someone important's TP. And someone stronger, Jack Frost, is forced to contest that, I think. Mordekaiser is also able to be a little bit of a nuisance to Mike Beast, and Mordekaiser is a character that is strong enough to take jungle camps on his own, and Nick almost gets caught out, forced to use the infinite duress once again to escape a sticky situation.
I also feel like Mordekaiser is one of those champs that it doesn't matter how behind he is, like he is right now, he is still immensely useful through his ultimate. He can ult might be some off of claiming an objective. He can ult someone strong like Jack Frost out of clearing out his teammates. You can do a lot with someone who's behind when they have a crazy ult like Mordekaiser.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of what his positioning there was for. He was kind of posturing there in a way where he was the main threat, despite being so behind and so weak, just so that he can ult them out, and they kind of knew they had to concede Otacon there.
The next Chemtech Drake has spawned. UNF, far better postured for it. I think, honestly, they could start it right now and take it before Team WMU arrives to contest it. I don't think exactly WMU is even going to consider contesting it. And I think we're about to see the Mordekaiser go down at the hands of Warwick again. Yeah, we immediately, as soon as the Warwick shows, or the Mordekaiser shows on vision, we see Nick booking it towards him.
Yeah.
The Blood Hunt is used. Everything is dumped on the Mordekaiser. Mordekaiser does bust out Death Realm, and actually, it does look like Mordekaiser is able to chunk down the Warwick, forces a flash out of Nick, but Infinite Duress is invested, and the Mordekaiser does go down. I think Nick only got so low because he was separated from his wonderful wave by the Death Realm, and because he was trying to cheekily save his ult, try to squeeze a kill out without pressing R, which is just a bit too greedy in that situation.
I think it was a reasonable attempt, though, since his ult is huge with how fed he is, and it's not like he gave up his life for the decision. He realized his mistake and got the kill before he got killed for it.
Mm-hmm. Baron Nashor has spawned 25 minutes in. I think this game is definitely the most in UNF's favor at this point. I think UNF actually has a reasonable chance of taking this Baron. It makes me a little worried that the gold has started to come from a state of UNF having a very solid lead to a state of sort of evenness between the two teams. I think this fight really is anyone's to win. I think if team WMU does plan to win this fight, it's going to be off the back of the Tristana and in part the Cassiopeia. I think Cassiopeia's petrifying gaze is going to be very important here. That's probably the second most thing past everything Tristana can do this fight. And Amber Dragon does get caught out. I do believe that charge. Well, I thought it'd do a bit more, but she manages to survive, but has to expend Monsoon. Nick is on the bottom side of the map. He will not be present for the Baron fight, and I think ultimately that means that the Baron will go in favor of Team WMU. Jack Frost goes in for a very aggressive Emperor's Divide. And Mike Beeston tries to go for a cheeky little steal on the Drake, does not manage to get it off. And this is just a terrible situation for the members of Team UNF. Nick has finally shown up to the fight, but he's just too late, and he goes down.
Getting stunned by the
To
Cassiopeia are, along with the rest of his team just kind of getting finished off there.
Now, I do think that WMU does have enough members and enough time to actually end the game here. Maybe not with Ton respawning. I feel like they can brute force it. I really do. We'll see
I
if
mean,
they
they
feel
did
like
the
they
other
can
two
brute
games,
force
so I
it.
feel like they're definitely gonna at least try.
I think with the Gragas and with the Zaya respawning, they might take a breather and step back, recall, and then maybe go for a little something else. Yeah. I didn't realize how close the Gragas was to respawning. I thought he died closer to the Warwick and Vizier.
Yeah, I mean, they do have another Chemtech Drake up in a minute 30, and so far, UNF's been doing a great job getting those, but now with how these other team fights went, they are a fair amount behind, and I'm not so sure they're going to be able to get this third Drake, especially with WMU getting prio on setting up and getting that vision.
Once again, Nick is on the opposite side of the map to the objective. Playing Warwick, he does not run teleport. It's a little disappointing to see the strongest member of Team UNF not grouping for the most important fights of this game. Mike Beeston does extend his explosive cast and doesn't really get a whole lot done with it. Jack Frost's life was on a bit of a timer with the Tristana's explosive charge on him. That explosive charge manages to chunk his team down quite a bit. And really, Team UNF can't contest this Drake. On the other side of the map, Nick falls to the Mordekaiser in this incredibly Warwick-favored matchup. The Mordekaiser has just been playing well enough to come out on top in a 1v1. It's a really unfortunate situation for Team UNF. But this game is kind of over, and it is once again in the favor of Team WMU.
Yeah, I think they keep sending Warwick top by himself to have someone like Mordekaiser match him, but I think they're not. I think WMU's not losing enough by losing Mordekaiser to justify UNF losing the Warwick there, and I think it's a decision that they shouldn't keep making.
I feel like it's exactly like the same sort of message has been received since you said it in the first game that WMU just does a really good job of controlling the snowball of Team UNF. Like UNF put so much resources, or so many resources rather, into the I guess proliferation of the Warwick, and they really haven't been able to use that Warwick to win the game. And despite all the effort that was put into building up the Warwick, the Mordekaiser still has more gold. The Mordekaiser is still on top of this incredibly strong Warwick, or what was an incredibly strong Warwick.
Yeah, he caught up and even
Um,
surpassed him, and now he beats him in a 1v1, and Warwick doesn't really have that strength anymore.
and Mordekaiser individually is almost a more impactful character than the Warwick. Manages to just press R on the ADC of Team UNF, walk her down and kill her, or walk him down and kill him. And this will be game over for Team UNF. Very well played all 3 rounds by both teams, honestly. I think UNF did a fantastic job of gaining strong footing in the early game, but WMU just did a really, really good job of controlling the lead that UNF had and sort of converting it into their own. Both teams played incredibly well,
Yeah, I
but I
wouldn't.
think there's something to be learned from the way that WMU played. Sorry, go ahead,
Absolutely.
Lena.
No, I was gonna say I wouldn't say by any means that UNF got swept despite the 0-3, because they put up quite a fight on each round individually and even performed well up until about 20 minutes into the game, where things kind of started flipping, which is still incredibly unfortunate that it turns out that way, but it really says something about how far UNF's come, that they're not really getting stomped by these same ranked scrims that they used to be getting stomped in. It really is shows how much progress they've made and how far they've come, and how well their team comps are turning out. The ones they've practiced and what they got to put out these games.
I absolutely agree. Do you want to wrap it up here, Lilu? I don't know
Yes.
how much more there is. I don't think we have an interview today as we do on Thursdays.
No, I
So
we don't believe we do. So yeah, that'll be the end of tonight's scrims. With WMU Fearless, we went 0-3 unfortunately. Um, Very promising information for Team UNF though. Thanks to anybody who's watching live or as a VOD later, and let's continue supporting UNF main team.
this has been Finn and Lilu. We were your casters for tonight. Thank you so much for listening. Have a good night, everybody.
Yeah, good night.